Hello all, again welcome back to Jayatha's world. Now today we'll be discussing about another biological important topic, and today we are going to discuss about blood. Before learning blood, we must know what is it. So it is nothing but, as we all know, it is just a fluid. But it is not just a fluid because it is very important in an human or any other animal, because it does like delivering necessary substances like nutrients and oxygen, all those to the cells, and also transports the metabolic waste. Means after reaction we get some waste as well as some useful products. These useful products are transported to all the cells for their functioning. Then this waste products is not essential, so as we throw the garbage out from the house every day, like the same, the waste products after a reaction are taken away from those cells. Always the blood content or quantity in a man is more than that a woman has. So here it is given, a man has about 5 to 6 liters of blood, whereas an woman have slightly less than what a man have. So now we have learned what is blood. So now let's see what are the components of blood, like what does a blood have? Why is it so important? So if we see the component or composition of blood, we can see four main substances like plasma, white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. Here we have the composition. Plasma is of 55%, white blood cells and platelets together are 4%, and the red blood cells are 41%. So through this picture we are clear that plasma is more than all the other components. Okay, so let's see each component, why it is important, why it is over there in the blood. So now if we come to red blood cells are also called by many names like red cells, red blood corpuscles, hematids, erythroid cells, and erythrocytes. Erythrocytes is almost a common name. And hemoglobin, we have heard, like in a blood test you come to know what's your hemoglobin level. The same, what is hemoglobin, you might have thought, right? It is nothing but a protein that is present inside the blood cells, and this gives a red color to the blood cell, and that is why this is known as red blood cell. A type of blood cell that is made in the bone marrow. So this red blood cell is made up in the bone marrow and is found in the blood. Hemoglobin has high affinity for oxygen. High affinity for oxygen is nothing but it can transport oxygen very well, whereas it has low affinity for CO2, hence this transports CO2 in a dissolved form. Why should it first of all transport all this oxygen and CO2 kind of products here and there? What's the work for it? So hemoglobin must transport oxygen for all the cellular respiration activities, and CO2 is not necessary for our body. We must release it out. That is why from our lungs CO2 is carried to the place where excretion takes place. So hemoglobin helps in transporting these oxygen and CO2. Next, so what does the blood cells do? These red blood cells specifically, what does this do? It's nothing but the function of red cell and its hemoglobin is to carry oxygen from the lungs or gills to all the body tissues. As I said, it carries oxygen for all kind of activities taking place in our body. So since oxygen and carbon dioxide are separated in lungs, it should not be concentrated only in lungs, because activities take place all over the body. So oxygen must be transported to all over the body, and this is done by hemoglobin. And next, carbon dioxide is a waste product which we do not need in our body. So it is excreted from our body. And next, spleen is also known as the graveyard of RBC. Whichever RBC cell are dead, this is stored in the spleen. Next, here we see red blood cells. This is a disease related to red blood cell anemia, which we'll be seeing in the disorders section. So here red blood cells have hemoglobin. This is hemoglobin as we are seeing it over here. It gets oxygen from the lungs, and oxygen is over here, like it is fixed into the hemoglobin molecule. This hemoglobin molecule travels to all the parts of the cells and gives out the oxygen to those cells and collects carbon dioxide from all those cells. So next we'll be coming to see about white blood cells. White blood cells, as we all know, it is called as leukocytes. These protect you against illness and disease. We all know this provides us immunity. So why do we need immunity? If we do not have immunity, what will it happen? So if we do not have immunity, we'll be always falling off sick. We'll never be good, so good. We cannot perform our daily processes very well. Healthiness is maintained by our immunity level, and this immunity level is maintained by our white blood cells. So the white blood cells are our immunity cells. That is, they are always at a war. White blood cells are always fighting against the enemies in our body. So what are those enemies? These enemies are nothing like viruses, bacteria, and other substances that come from outside, and those are harmful to us. Okay, white blood cells make up around only 1% of all blood cells, but even though it has a very, very important task in our body. Okay, white blood cells are also called as soldiers of the body. White blood cells in our body are also so important, and so these are called as soldiers of the body. So we have different types of white blood cells in our body like neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes and monocytes. So let's see about neutrophils. Here the image is given of neutrophils. So this responds to a bacteria or virus. Eosinophils are, they show the symptoms for us, like before getting a fever, our body temperature gets high and some feel too cold even when it is not so. So those are few symptoms that you might be suffering from fever. Like that, eosinophils help in showing you some symptoms that you are not healthy. Basophils are known for their role in asthma. Lymphocytes fight infections by producing antibodies. So how are these white blood cells able to fight against the diseases even though these are like red blood cells, platelets? What is their function? Like, how does it do? The lymphocytes produce the antibodies to fight against them. Actually, a tablet doesn't produce anything, but a tablet enhances the function of the white blood cells, which the white blood cells then will produce more number of antibodies against an foreign substance. And next, monocytes clean up the dead cells. Next, we come to know about platelets. Platelets are also known as thrombocytes. These are small and colorless. These are cell fragments, means small pieces of cell in our blood that form clots. We have seen, like when we are hurt, blood comes out for a few minutes and after some time it stops itself. Even though if you don't do anything, it stops by itself. It stops bleeding at some time, right? That is due to the function of the platelets. Platelets are not always active. These become active when they come in contact with the surface, or else if there are no platelets in your body, the blood goes on flowing out and the blood will be going out. You cannot stop it, even though if you tie your hand or wherever the injury is, even though if you tie the place, no, it wouldn't stop. It is only because of platelets that the flow of the blood stops. Next, this is platelets. Before activation and after activation, these platelets look like this. So if injury has taken place over here, the blood flows out, keeps on flowing out. So here these platelets come and stop over here like this. Next, plasma. Plasma, as we have seen, it is the largest part of our blood. When separated from the blood, it has a separate color for it, and that is yellow color. It is a liquid. This carries, like, plasma has water, salts and enzymes. The main role for plasma is to take nutrients, hormones and proteins to the parts of the body that need it. So wherever there is a need of nutrients, hormones and proteins, this plasma helps in transporting these to the place where it needs. Cells also put their waste products or waste substances into this plasma, and this plasma travels to the place where it has to be excreted. Okay, next, plasma donation are so important because they help treating blood disorders, liver disease and several types of cancer, among other conditions like immune deficiencies. Next, as I have said, when this is separated from the blood, it looks in yellow color. Okay, so finally we have come to the blood disorders page. Here only few blood disorders are listed out. And anemia, this is related to the red blood cells, and the people with anemia have a less number of hemoglobin cells. The symptoms shown over here are like fatigue, like they're not at all active, and they have pale skin, and they are not at all healthy. Because if hemoglobin is less, oxygen transportation will become less. So oxygen is of course important for all the activities. If no oxygen, no energy is produced. So if no energy, you're always tired. Next, lymphoma is related to the white blood cells. This is a form of blood cancer that is developed in the lymph system. And in lymphoma, a white blood cell become malignant and multiplies and spread abnormal. It spreads a lot. Next, leukemia, and this is also a form of blood cancer in which a blood cells become malignant and multiplies inside the bone marrow. Here it is occurring inside the bone marrow. So leukemia is also related to white blood cells. And next is idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. It is an condition causing a persistently low number of platelets in the blood due to an unknown cause. Is also known as ITP. And this is of course related to platelets. Here this indicates that the less number of platelets is known to the disease name as ITP, and this is caused due to there's no other cause for this. There's no cause for this disease or disorder. So yeah, this file will be given in the description box and also in the comment section. If you want, you can check it out. Also, thank you for viewing our videos. Thank you.